Hello and welcome to our Preparing for Success learning strategy lessons. My name is Jason Taylor, and I'm really happy to introduce this series for you. So what we're going to look at is really it's about tweaking your study skills. Some of us have very strong study skills. Some of us don't have any at all. We want to introduce some to you, and even if you have some that you've been using in the past, evaluate and see if there's any way that we can tweak them to maximize your outcome compared to how much work you put in. We want you to work smarter, not harder. We want to be able to take away learning from this instead of just passing a test. We want you to actually be able to carry that information. Apprenticeship is based off of a combination of in school training and in work activities. The ratio is 20 to 80. Okay, I know that's a weird breakdown, but it's 20% in class study, 80% out in the field. Relating that in class study to the field is very difficult, especially if you've been doing something like cramming where you're studying for an exam but you're not able to apply it to the real world. And that is a shame. We can give you some strategies that we can take a look at how to see the whys, how to address that. How can we carry that forward and make it useful and make it relatable and make it more interesting and hopefully fun with a lot less work. In these sessions, we're going to take a look at the first one is the knowing how to learn and maximizing the success with minimal effort. I think that sells itself. We're going to take a look at some very basic strategies in that regard. Session number 2 is going to be talking about the memory principles and about how we can learn to recall them better. We used stuff like PEMDAS and BEDMAS and SOHCAHTOA all the time in our learning. There's a reason why we break it down into those things because they carry with you, whether it's some kind of an acronym or some sort of a poem or something like that. We can look at some of those things to help us categorize, help us to learn. Session number 3, we're going to learn about learning techniques to help us study. What is a better option for study? And session number 4 is effective reading strategies. You may think that this one is ridiculous, but we have a heavy amount of reading to do in any apprenticeship. We have the code book, plus we've got volumes of learning resources, which are largely written. In session number 1, we're going to see how ineffective reading and reading alone can be in extracting and remembering that information. In session number 4, we're going to show how we can maximize the retention of that and to minimize the amount of work you have to put into that. I don't think anyone here is necessarily super excited about heavy amounts of technical reading. But we got to get it done and we've got to be able to pass, and you don't want to have to do it a second time. Session number 5 is effective note-taking strategies. How can we capture this information? How can we reduce that information from that massive amounts of information that we receive into what we need to know so that we can study those and not have to keep rereading our notes or keep rereading our textbooks. Session number 6, exam preparation. Again, this one is probably speaking to itself. You all have to write at least one major exam through the course of it, and that's the certification exam, the Red Seal. That one is a challenging exam, to say the least, and we want to try and give you some strategies as early as possible so that you can employ them throughout your apprenticeship journey to be able to get that down to a perfect science by the time you write that Red Seal. Session number 7, organizing time and time management. This is a quintessential skill, not just for learning, but also for life. This one is probably one of the more important ones in the whole big picture. So the best is for last. Don't ignore it because it can really benefit your life. It doesn't set you to necessarily a stringent schedule requirement, but it does make sure that we're paying attention to all the important things, like making sure that we're going to pass our exams and we're going to show up to the right things on the right days. But it also means that we can set aside the important stuff for you and your personal lives. Okay, it's a balance in there. And setting up that proper time management. The difference between success and not in life often revolves around our management and time management. I think you see that all the time out in the field.